Hi. If you're looking at this, perhaps you've seen the first video I did about trying to be helpful. Um, this is the second topic that I wanted to address. If you hadn't seen the first video, no big deal, but if you'd like to see it, I'm going to put a link up on this screen now when I upload this to YouTube, so that you can get a link to that. It gives a bit of a background as to why I'm doing these videos now. Um, so I want to talk about uh, cognitive biases. And to start that, I just want to point out that I think our brain, in order to make sense of the complexity of the world that we live in, tries to develop simplifications. And so it's in that simplification that we then end up with these cognitive biases. Like, I give you a personal example. Some years ago, somebody said to me, "Oh, you shopping at this particular supermarket." I'm not gonna call the names because they're not advertising nobody. And they said, "You shopping at this particular supermarket, you must be rich." Uh, and I'm like, "No, because I ain't got money like that." But I said to them, I work hard for my money, and I refuse because I used to, but I refuse now to work hard in order to spend it. Um, if I can do that. So I'm not going to do like I used to do before. Because that's the way I think I grew up. Just trying to walk around the place, check all these different things, buy something here, buy a little bit there, buy a little bit over that side in order to get all the best prices. And that's hard work in and of itself. Um, so I said, I just simplify my life by going to one place where I know I can get everything I need and just buy everything there. And it doesn't impact the rest of everything in no significant way. So I'm good with that. Um, so that's me simplifying life. And that's what I generally do. I don't shop at that supermarket anymore. Partly because it run down. Well, significantly because it run down. And then I found a supermarket that was closer by to where I live and work. Um, and I've been there now for quite a while. Again, I can find everything that I need for the most part, and that's it. It ain't broken. I ain't fixing it. So I think our brain, kind of in a general sense, has been it functions in that way of simplifying things. So let me give you a definition I find useful for this idea of the cognitive bias. And this comes from a website I found called Very Well Mind. And I'll try to put a link to the page, maybe two of their pages, in the description of this video. So if you wanted to go and check it out, you can go. One that's on cognitive biases in general, gives a bit more descriptors. And another that is there on the 13 types of cognitive biases, I think. So they just define it, as you see, as a cognitive bias being a systematic error in thinking that occurs when people process and interpret information in their surroundings, influencing their decisions and their judgments. Decisions and judgments I'll highlight. So these biases, they influence what we choose to do, say, and so on. And our judgments, our evaluation of situations, our evaluation of people, and so on. But they're errors, they're systematic errors that we are essentially acting on. And like I said before, part of it comes out of trying to simplify things. So this is a blank screen for me, save that, as you see, it says types of cognitive bias. I'm going to plop here, again, a link to another video because I don't think it makes sense for me to go over the different types of cognitive biases and so on. So I'm going to pop one or two videos on the screen that I found on YouTube that explains a suite of different cognitive biases. The one that I was first drawn to talk about is confirmation bias. So, among the cognitive biases, there's a particular bias that we call confirmation bias. But you'll find that there are a number of other types of cognitive biases that are relevant to why I'm doing this video. So the why question, why is this important? Why am I talking to you about cognitive biases at this time? And I realize I'm going to release this on the morning of elections in Guyana 2025. It's important. Why is it important? So a lot of our interactions are still online. We went a lot more online during COVID, of course. And that was the first time that I really looked into what it meant to be in that space, because if you remember in 2020, when COVID came right after we had elections, we had this prolonged issue with elections and elections results. And while that was happening, as contentious as elections have been in the past in Guyana, we were significantly confined to interacting with people in an online environment. And that created some issues that I'm not so sure we have really taken stock of as yet. So a lot of our interactions are in social media spaces. And one of the first things I point out is that social media software, they have built-in algorithms that actually, for marketing purposes, because they have to generate revenue, they actually take advantage of those biases. So the algorithms feed your biases. um you keep clicking on certain things and they keep feeding you more of those things, and so it seems to you that this is confirmation because all you keep seeing is this. It makes certain things available to you, and so that's what you're gonna make your judgment on. So the algorithms in social media is one thing. The next thing is a choice that you make because you become members of networks. So the social media algorithm is one thing where even if you don't have a friend on Facebook, for example, Facebook will still, based on what you click, they will feed you things. If you don't have a single friend, they'll still feed you things based on what you search for, what you click on. They'll give you information, they'll give you advertisement, they'll send you videos, they'll give you things even if you don't have a network on Facebook. But then once you have a network, so you start adding friends, that's the first level. You're going to start seeing what your friends are posting. So you get fed from your network. And usually you're picking your network based on people you like, based on people that you're familiar with, and usually people that might be thinking like you, looking, going after the same information. Because a lot of people try to avoid confrontation, avoid contention, so they look and connect with people that are similar to them. But then beyond your friends, you got a group here and a page there that you're liking or you're joining, and those will also feed you things that you have made a conscious choice to connect to that network, and you'll get fed from the network. In this age now, we have a lot of fake news that can come out there. Lots of it has been happening already in our space. Before these elections, hiking prior to elections and running through, a lot of fake news. People make posts. Some of it is very malicious. That people are deliberately spreading lies, and then some of it is actually just a matter of people not you're putting out things there, thinking it to be true, but it's not. Um, so you got a lot of fake news that can come up. Sometimes, last elections, I remember having an issue where people were posting, and it's not restricted to elections actually. I've seen this over time where people post a video from 5, 10 years ago. There's no timestamp labeled on it. Or sometimes even that they share a video that's old, no timestamp on it, and we take it as if it happened just now. We just had this accident, somebody just got shot, somebody just did this or the other. Um, so the fake news. And then the last thing I'd highlight is in this age of AI, where you can go online and create images, voices, videos, put people inside it. I see a lot of AI generated news, and you have to look very careful. There are ways of detecting this, but you have to look very careful, be very mindful. If you don't do that, you're going to end up being fed things that were AI generated and you think it to be true. So this is why because we're interacting so much in this online space, I think it's important that we pay attention to the biases already built in, that even if we were not online, we'd still have those biases, but these are enhanced by the fact that we're interacting in this information age on social media, and everything can come to you with a click of a button. All right, so then, as I did in the previous video, I'll close off by asking the question, what should we do with this information? So one thing we have to recognize from this is that we are biased. We have built-in biases. We all evaluate the world through lenses. And other people are biased. So I am biased, you're biased. Let's start there. Let's also recognize that when we're interacting on social media, that we have or we are fed biased information. We are fed information that the algorithms think we will like, because that's the greater likelihood that we'll click on it, and that gives them the greater likelihood that they'll get revenue generated by our activity on the social media. We recognize that our network feeds us biased information, that we are getting facts. We could, everything, put aside the fake news and the AI generated stuff, we could be getting all facts coming to us. But all of the facts come from one particular biased place. So when you first recognize, acknowledge these biases built into the system, then we recognize that we have to go beyond. If we really want to understand something, if we really want to evaluate something, we really want to get to the truth, then we need to go beyond the initial things that come to us. And we don't just react to the first thing that comes. We need to be mindful that our systems that are feeding us may actually be giving us only a part of what the truth is. Right? And I like to make the distinction between the truth and facts. So we get facts, and as we pull facts together, we develop a picture of what the truth is. We could keep adding more and more facts, different perspectives, so on, to actually come closer and closer to what the truth on any particular matter is. And so what we get fed automatically, we then have to go back and kind of add to that. Of course, in this time of age of fake news, in this age of AI generated stuff, we need to be careful and look and evaluate even the things that come to us that appear to be facts, because now we can get a lot of lies coming to us that we need to filter through. There are lots of videos and tools and so on out there that tells us how we could possibly identify when something is fake, when something is and something is AI generated. One of the things I tend to do is that if I see something, news pops up, looks credible, I tend to then come off the social media, go to Google and search for that same news, um, and sometimes search to see if that news is fake or not. Like deliberately search and say, is this fake news? Because there's some sites, there's some places that people dedicate themselves to kind of evaluating news stories that get out there, uh, and saying, is this false? Is this true? Um, and so I look for that. Uh, see something, go, okay, well, let me check and see, is this something that that I can trust, right? Look carefully at the date stamps on things. Um, one of the things I mentioned before is that people tend to share old things, like somebody, and social media does it to us, not just people sharing it deliberately. Somebody comments on a post that was made 15 years ago, and Facebook now highlights it to you, and you don't look carefully and realize that this thing was dated 2010, and you think it actually happened today or more recently. But then also you got people that deliberately share videos without timestamp. So they take an old video, pop it up, and it's out there. You gotta look and again double check these things. Essentially, what I think I would conclude with saying is that we need to slow down our interactions. Just slow them down. Take time to evaluate. Take time to recognize that when we first react to something, we may be reacting from a bias, and we question ourselves. Question ourselves. Don't trust your brain. Question your brain to see if what you're thinking about this thing is actually factual, and is it the whole truth that you're getting or just a tiny part of it. Once you recognize that we could be biased, we judge people, we see a photograph with one set of people and we conclude things. um we need to ensure that we recognize that we could be biased, that as soon as we see this person we think they are such. This person look this way, they must be that. This person say something, they must um uh, be meaning this. And in Guyana, one of the things I found to be very true is that we have a system, particularly when it comes to politics, that assumes you're either for me or against me. And so when you say something that is not supportive of me or doesn't put me in a favorable light, I assume that you're against me. And if you say something that puts me in a favorable light, I assume you're for me. And it goes so with the other people too. If you say something that's favorable to them, I assume you're for them. If you say something that is not favorable to them, I assume that you're against them. And all of that could be nothing further from the truth. You could actually have someone who is trying to be an independent, objective observer and commenter, and they simply look at the facts that they have and they're presenting it from that perspective. And even in that, there's bias.